Okay, so here we are at the Sexy Truth Impact in Helsinki. I'm Josh. I was the host of the evening, and I thought it would be a great opportunity after the show finished to speak to a couple of our investors in the audience. You don't often get to hear from investors very often through social media, so this is a very rare opportunity. And I have with me here Alex Irinachos.
Good pronunciation.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a B+.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, you are an investor in what is now known as Loudspring.
Yeah, correct.
I want to get straight to an interesting question for that people might, obviously want to know, other shareholders or potential investors want to know is, what was your initial motivation for buying the Cleantech Invest share?
First of all, I've never seen anything in the Nordic marketplace that is diversified, that has sort of this active role in the portfolio companies, and that has this focus and strategy of not just, highly capital intensive clean energy generating companies like in the PV space, for example, but companies that are born global, which is a key entrepreneurial aspect. It was actually coined in Uppsala University in Sweden, of Scandinavian and Nordic companies. These, highly innovative companies that can scale around the world and make a difference. So it's low capital intensity, born global aspect. It's scalable, and it's also one interesting aspect that I learned about Loudspring and the portfolio companies. A key sort of USP of them being Nordic companies is that Finland and Sweden, we haven't been in these diplomatic, political, or sort of situations with a lot of countries. So we can scale to Asian countries, to African countries, and there's not that sort of political aspect as well, which is interesting.
The baggage.
The baggage,
yeah,
exactly.
sure.
No
sure.
baggage.
Yeah.
So there's all these aspects, and then, I've gotten to know some of the people working for Loudspring, and I know there's very, very highly competent people, and I like the strategy. They really, they open up, they open up relationships. They work very actively with the strategy of each portfolio company. They work with synergies in between portfolio companies. So they do a lot of sort of hands-on aspects, which is rare.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the key reasons why we went through this big change as well with our identity and our purpose, is that we are very hands-on. We can't really help ourselves. I know from my perspective, at least, with communications, I look at all of these companies, and they are full of technically brilliant people with great ideas and the technical know-how to deliver those ideas and to get into the markets and make sure the product's right. But telling the story of what they're doing is the bit that a lot of them don't really, they're too worried about the engineering or the technical specificity. So I agree that, and it's good to hear that from an investor that it's a good attribute of the firm that we do like to be so hands-on. I would like to talk a little bit more though about, some of your own investing behaviour. What is it hard to find companies that match the kind of purpose that you're looking for as an investor? Like, you obviously care about these bigger picture ideas. So in your own experience.
I care about it. When I look for something that's super long term, I care about it. It's a hygiene factor. It's not a motivator. The fact that the company does something good. And I'm not an expert, but I'm curious about the environment. I know of our challenges, and I know they're real, and I know we have to act now, without a doubt. And I really believe that in order to make sustainable environmental impact, you can't rely on subsidies. And it makes it very hard for entrepreneurs, because they have to compete in this space where there's limited capital. You have to prove yourself that you have the right sort of solution to the market and to investors. And it makes it really tricky. So for the few entrepreneurs that manage to create these sort of scalable, highly innovative products within clean tech and within the sharing economy, which is another aspect that I really like about Loudspring, I really think we ought to support them. And especially if there's a clear business case to to big corporations. Because at the end of the day, you have to help these big companies save money, work on their bottom line, and then the impact will follow. However, I like the other way around that I heard tonight is sort of, the impact is key, and then the shareholder value will follow.
I think that...
I think they go sort of aligned.
They go at the same time, It's like a team rowing a boat, like the impact and the financial return, they happen at the same time. And I think that's what we are trying to redefine the way businesses talk a little bit about it. So
Yeah.
that's a bit of a language trick for us, is to talk about that the shareholder value follows the impact.
But
And
I want to
you know,
add, the first experience I had of Cleantech Invest was a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was actually searching for something. I was on, doing my research. I was on the stock market. I was searching for something in this space, doing clean tech diversified, because I wasn't an expert, and I'm still no expert. I'm far from it. I'm just starting to be very curious. But I wanted to find something that was diversified within the clean tech space, making a clear impact.
yeah,
At the time, I found it only because of the previous name.
yeah.
But now I've really gotten into the company, understood sort of the strategy, the portfolio companies, and I really like to focus on energy saving and also the sharing economy, which of course is
With those 2 points in mind, then, do you have a few favourites? Well, it's like trying to pick well, we try not to do it, but what do you like? What are the companies in the portfolio that really jump out to you?
Nuka is super interesting, and
Okay.
also Rescue Club.
Uh-huh.
I remember taking an old entrepreneur marketing class in Boston, and we had to figure out 5 ideas a day. And one of the ideas, I bounced off with a friend of mine was just the same idea as Rescue Club. That was 5 years ago. So
Great.
finding a public venue to invest indirectly into a company like Rescue Club
Yeah.
that does something, battling food waste, which is, I think, wasting food is it just on a personal level, it's tormenting.
Yeah,
I
it
always
is.
I have a sort of a black hole. I can eat a lot, so I always finish. If you're not finishing your food,
Yeah,
I'll finish
it
your
for
food,
you.
and your
Yeah.
friend and your wife, sort of.
Yeah.
But I really don't like that. And then also Nuka from a technological aspect, going in perhaps to AI and really.
It's an
scaling
interesting
up
company
their,
too. Rescue's really easy for me to
product.
love as well. I was a
Yeah.
uni student, and obviously cheaper feeds are
Yeah.
a good deal.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
can find cheap food that someone's
Yeah.
going to throw away,
Yeah.
that's great.
A bargain is a bargain.
Exactly.
It's-
And people, like people when I went to university used to go and dumpster dive and grab, stuff from the supermarkets. And I mean, not quite as hygienic. Well, definitely Rescue's more hygienic than that. But it really spoke to me as a poor student. And with Nuka, the funny thing about Nuka is, it's really hard to understand them, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't understand everything Einstein says, but I know that it's pretty cool. And I think that's kind of similar with Nuka, the data streams that they can tap into and how they can bring all of that information together and create these innovative responses to everyday problems in buildings are like beyond efficiencies to value adding is super interesting. And I mean, it is beyond me to figure out how they do it, but I like that they're doing it, and I think it's super
And then
cool.
there's a bunch of other things, industrial applications like of course energize and so filtration that is making a huge impact. So I think you get a really nice diversification in the portfolio.
Exactly.
And as I've gotten to know it more and the strategy, I've learned things like the sharing economy aspect with swap.com and Rescue Club, which was new to me. It's indirect. It's not. And that's also a good thing with changing to Loudspring, because it's about the sort of the whole picture. It's not only about clean tech. Because clean tech can actually, and clean tech invest can actually sort of be a bit, how would you say, wrong or mislead you a little
It
bit.
is It was misleading. I think that's the main thing. It misled
Loudspring
what
can
we were
really
actually doing
house
anyway.
that whole sort of
Exactly. And that's why we did
benefit.
it. And I think, and people who might be watching this, it's a journey for us to communicate this change and what it means, and it's a step-by-step process. So bear with us, everyone, and we look forward to bringing you on this journey with us. A final question, though, for you, so that we can leave on a note that I think is interesting for other investors. What generation do you come from? I didn't want to say how old you are. You're a millennial. Okay, good.
I'm sort of mid-millennial.
Okay, well, I'm late millennial.
Yeah. When are you born?
84.
Yeah.
I think I'm
I've
late.
actually heard it starts 86.
Oh,
so you
get
might.
lost.
No, I'm sorry. It starts 81 or 80.
Okay.
I think
All
so. So you definitely.
Defining myself incorrectly.
Yeah. No, you are a millennial.
To other millennial investors who are thinking about investing in a share that can represent some of the things that they think are valuable, what message do you have for them? What would you say to them?
Well,
Obviously it's investment, so it's a very personal thing, but what can you say?
I think being long-term is key. Really learning about the company, the portfolio company. In this case, it's a investment company. It's an accelerator. So you have to really, go down and sort of learn about the portfolio companies, learn
Yeah.
about the diversification,
Yeah.
learn about the sort of total impact of all these companies
Yeah.
in different spaces at the same time. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're not, they're not competing with each other. They're
Nah.
creating different kinds of impact, both on a financial level and on
Yeah.
an environmental impact level. So really getting that total sort of package and comparing that to what's out there. Because when I looked, and I still look, I don't find anything similar in the Nordic market. I know Loudspring is the biggest accelerator investor in the Nordic market, and to be honest, I kind of wish there were more companies like this.
Yeah, of
and I
course.
also wish that this fund was bigger, or this
Yeah.
company was way bigger, and I
Yeah.
think it should be.
Yeah.
And I think it will be actually.
Yeah,
but,
well, that's our
again,
intention,
so finding something that you can be very long term in.
Yeah.
And I think it's something like this that's diversified and an investment company. I think it's something that has
Yeah.
the nature of allowing you to be long term.
So I guess
Um,
maybe to boil it down into maybe 2 points I can hear there is, do your research,
Do your research.
have patience.
Yeah. And then I think there's a lot of alignments to people's interest. Whether you're
Okay.
interested in saving water, industrial water, saving
Sure.
food. There's
Sure.
there's a lot that, because people have, this is a major talking point. I mean, in the environment, and not just the environment and saving the environment, but how each individual, what they care about.
Yeah.
Is it the energy sector? Is
Exactly.
It,
We've all got our favourites
Yeah.
and the things that align with
Yeah.
our own belief systems.
and I mean, just the fact that I actually, that's one, I've learned a lot of new things here tonight, but one thing that I did know before was the fashion industry being the second most sort of dirty or polluting in
Yeah.
that sense.
I think I'd heard it,
After
but it
oil,
shocked me still,
which,
even sitting here.
I think a lot of people, especially millennials, have no idea.
No.
They could never imagine.
No.
So, the sharing economy aspect is just great, and we need to have it reach scale and grow.
Great.
So I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Let's get a drink.
Yes. Cheers.
Thanks a lot. I might come back after the drink and do another interview if you're lucky.